Coming up on this week's edition of the Kev BK Beloved Show, last second NFL draft questions. Is Caleb Williams overrated? Which prospects would I bet my life on to be successful? But first, welcome in, everybody. Do not forget to like, follow, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Don't forget to review, all of those fun things. Now, this was supposed to be Mock Draft 3.0, but instead I decided to do a joint podcast with the good fellas over at the Opening Kickoff Pod, which should be available now. I'll put the link in the description. But I ain't want to leave y'all hanging, so I'm here to empty out the mailbox and answer some last-second draft questions like this. Question number 1. Why is Caleb Williams so overrated? So this is a stupid question, but it's not your fault, right? I blame NFL media because they have failed you, they have failed Caleb Williams, and most importantly, they have failed Chicago Bears fans. During this whole draft process, because of the state of where sports media is, instead of focusing on, hey, another awesome quarterback is coming into the NFL, here's why he's awesome. Instead of doing that, we get clickbaity headlines, out of context quotes, news about a bunch of stuff that y'all don't actually care about, like combine interviews and people taking physicals, when this whole time it could have just been, hey, Bears fans, for the first time in your lives, you are about to have a good quarterback on your team. Doesn't that sound like fun? I'll put it in perspective before I even do like a full-blown breakdown of Caleb Williams and as to why that question's so dumb. Guys, the draft is tomorrow or today, depending on what day I put this clip out. The draft is today, and we are still talking about crying from a game in November. We are still talking about nails. We're still talking about pink phones. What are we talking about here? You have yet to hear a football on the field reason. Not cliches, leader of men, locker room. You ain't hear none of that. You've yet to hear an actual football reason as to why Caleb Williams should not be the first overall pick in this draft. You know why? Because there aren't any. They don't exist. Because he's awesome. And since we brought up the crying, I know they say people in the locker room won't accept crying. And that doesn't show that you're a leader of men and all these movie cliches because y'all seen Any Given Sunday too many times, right? I'll accept your premise. And I will raise you Ray Lewis, who cried all the time, every single time. Before wins, after wins, losses, middle of game, pre-game. Ray Lewis is a crying dude. And I dare one of y'all to look him in the eyes and say something about it. That's not a quarterback, Kev. Caleb is a quarterback. It'll be perceived differently. I raise you Tom Brady. Lifelong Patriots fan here. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen Tom Brady cry, and not once have I thought of him as less of a man because of it. Not once. You know why? Because he wins. And when Caleb gets a winning, none of y'all are going to care. Back to the football reasons. The only person to come out and attempt to make a football case against Caleb Williams was Merrill Hodge when he just flat out lied to NBC Sports Chicago.
Oh, I've only watched Caleb Williams 3 games last year, 3 this year, so I'm only halfway done, okay?
Yeah, right.
The one thing that is clear, he is not special. He is not something unique like a Patrick Mahomes, okay. And I hope the Bears don't think, well, let's try to make up for our mistake when we pass up Patrick Mahomes and go get the Patrick Mahomes. The kid is not Patrick Mahomes. Ain't even remotely close to that.
That's a clip that everyone heard. Let's hear his actual explanation now.
Well, the first thing is there's no – first of all, his ability to throw on the run is very disturbing. It is very inaccurate, and it's all over the place. Okay. There's a ton of RPO, which nobody's going to RPO themselves to a Super Bowl in our league, okay? They're seeing that in Miami, okay? You do got to push the ball down the field. Now, there are times that he does, and he does that well. He doesn't play with a lot of anticipation because of all the clean pockets that exist in him. So I got to look at the dirty style and how he functions in that, and that's going to be pivotal because if you can't play in a dirty pocket, you'll never play in our league and be consistent. And the thing that's disturbing me right now is his inability to be consistent on the move as a thrower. That's really, and he's willing to do that a lot more than he has to. Yeah. You just don't have that choice in our league. You know, you got to play from a dirty pocket. You got to process things and be accurate and consistent. And I don't see anything magical with his arm that would be like, wow. That's Patrick Mahomes style. It is not Patrick Mahomes style. His mobility is not anything special. Nobody will watch him on tape, getting ready for him going, wow, we really got our hands full. Like,
boom. So now we got the full context. He had to go on Colin Cowherd's show the next week to say, you know what? Hey, man, maybe I got that one wrong.
And I go back to the processing. You just mentioned it. Rather it's a clouded pocket, rather it's a clean pocket. He does a lot of that. You know, the slant's there. He doesn't throw the slant because he's done the one thing that has made him exciting. And I think people lean to saying he's special. He's extremely elusive. And let me point out one thing that he does have out of all these other quarterbacks that I do love, and it is rare. His accuracy is elite. And I'm going to tell you this, that right there puts him above everybody else and gives him the edge.
But no one hears that cleanup. No one hears the full context. All you read is the headline, Merrill Hodge said Caleb not special. And all y'all who already had your biases against him are like, oh, see, Merrill Hodge said it. And I'm still sucking his dick from the Johnny Manziel evaluation. So of course I feel that way now. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Guys, the Bears haven't even pretended like they're going to draft somebody else. Do you know how crazy that is? NFL teams never show their hand like this. They at least throw out a smokescreen of, oh, we're going to go to someone else's pro day. We're still thinking about this. Maybe we'll field some offers for trades. No, this whole time, Caleb's been their guy from day one. They traded Justin Fields before they had his medicals. They didn't even meet with any of the other quarterbacks. They didn't even go to their pro days. They probably actually liked Tez Walker from North Carolina or Rome Odunze from Washington. Doesn't matter. They didn't want to give y'all the wrong impression. I need you to use your context clues on this. Why would they not even attempt to look at another quarterback? Because they saw Caleb play and say, you know what? Case closed. I've seen enough. And they don't give a damn about what else y'all are talking about. Because why should they? To actually answer the question, no, Caleb Williams is not overrated. He's just as good as advertised. He's the best quarterback prospect in the decade. And my God, I cannot wait until the season starts so we can stop asking dumbass questions like this. Thanks for the question, I guess. Moving on. If you had to bet your life on 3 prospects being good in the NFL, who would they be? Okay, so good is subjective because we can't even agree on good or bad anymore in sports discourse. So I'm just going to say guaranteed to get a second contract with the team who drafted them, because as we've seen with the 2021 draft class for quarterbacks, that's not a guarantee anymore. So that's what we're going to go here. The first one is a pass rusher, an offensive lineman, and lastly is a quarterback y'all have heard me pound the table for all offseason long. First up, Liatu Latu from UCLA, the edge rusher, 270 pounds, one of the most productive pass rushers we've had coming out of college, has every single pass rush move in the book. Mina Kimes said he's like when you play a video game and you acquire every single skill. So you just got all the moves already. I need y'all to understand this. Edge rushers don't come out of college with already fully developed toolboxes yet. That doesn't happen. He is the rare exception. If it wasn't for medical concerns, he would be far and away the best defensive player in this draft, and it wouldn't be close. And that's no disrespect to Dallas Turner. That's just what the film says. And as we're going to get to the last player of these 3, you're going to see I don't care about medical concerns. Next up, Tali Fuaga, the offensive tackle from Oregon State. Here's the premise. 6'6", 330 pounds, feet like a ballerina, and is one of the nastiest players I've ever seen on film. Sign me up every time. Sign me up. You'll see him absolutely dance with edge rushers and outside backers 50 pounds lighter than him and absolutely decleat 3 technique DNs in the same game. It's beautiful. I love watching him on film. And then lastly, I've been pounding the table for Michael Penix all offseason long. I'll continue to do so. I believe he's going to get a lot of general managers fired because they're going to pass on him. And he's going to make one general manager look real smart because they're the one who actually wanted to draft him. And speaking of general managers, he wrote a letter in the Players Tribune titled A Letter to NFL GMs, written by Michael Penix himself. Very well written. And I won't read the whole thing to you, just one little excerpt here. Before I got into this pre-draft process, I always felt I let my tape speak for me. Anything anyone really needed to know about me is in the All 22. The tape shows it all. How our team responds to adversity, how we came together, how we execute. But as these 4 months have carried on, I've realized there's more to it than the All 22. But there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. I don't understand how you watch Michael Penix on film and come away with any other conclusion than, this guy's pretty good at this whole football thing. Really good. I've heard the receivers point. I don't care how good your receivers are if you're hitting them in the face with the football. Who cares? See Joe Burrow. See CJ Stroud. Injury concerns? Who cares? 2 years at Washington, didn't miss a snap. Clearly, he's got this figured out. I believe he should be a first-round draft pick, bar none. I'd bet my life whoever signs him at QB, if he gets a chance to start, oh my God, they're going to get a treat with him. I think he's special. I genuinely think he's special. Thanks for the question. Question 3, what the fuck is wrong with the Broncos? Go and get the trash can and Zach Wilson. Okay, hilarious, but there's 2 things here. One, the Broncos have 0 draft capital. Like, they have 6 picks overall. They don't have a second-round draft pick because, remember, they traded for a guy named Russell Wilson, who they just traded away this offseason. Second part of this is Sean Payton has pulled a move that older head coaches have been pulling since the Bill Parcells era, which is ironic because he's off that Bill Parcells tree. This player beat my team, so obviously he's a good player because I'm so smart. So if I bring this player who was smart enough to beat me, then we can be smart together. Ha ha ha. That's the logic right there. Funniest part about that is Zach Wilson wasn't even all that great in the Broncos game. Got in front of me here, 19 for 26, 199 yards and 1 interception. The whole game plan was, Zach, please don't mess this game up for us. And he still threw a pick. If he would have traded for Breece Hall, because he balled that game, that would have made more sense. But hey, that's what they do. I do not think this rules them out of drafting a quarterback. We'll get to the quarterback they're probably going to draft later in these questions, but still, Zach Wilson is not guaranteed we're trading for you. Here's your starting spot. Good. I hope we can all agree on that. Thanks for the question. Question 4, the Ravens grabbing any of these stud wide receivers? So here's the thing with the Ravens. The Ravens' biggest needs are also the 2 deepest positions in this draft. Offensive line, specifically tackle, and wide receiver. I'd be stunned if they end up not getting one of those needs fulfilled at some point in this draft. How I think it'll go is they'll use that first round draft pick, that 30 pick, to get a tackle, and they'll use that second round pick to get a receiver. Just because the gap between late first round receiver and late second round receiver is much smaller than the gap between late first round tackle and late second round tackle. If I had to use players for an example, the gap between Keon Coleman and Jalen McMillan is smaller than the gap between Tyler Guyton and Patrick Paul. So I think they handle both. I am curious to see what type of receiver they get, though. Like, if Keon Coleman just so happens to fall to that late second round draft pick spot, I think the Ravens run that pick in and don't even think about it twice. But I do think tackle is going to be the bigger area of concern, because for whatever reason, the Ravens still believe in Rashawn Bateman, so they might not jump out the window for a first round receiver again. Thanks for the question. Next question, Bo Nix, LLS. All right, so I haven't been very kind to Bo Nix for this draft process compared to how I usually treat draft prospects, not how I treat professional players. Professional players, I treated him like an angel. Compared to draft prospects, not very kind. My opinion of him hasn't changed, bro. I'm sorry. He was a system quarterback at Oregon. He was a damn good system quarterback. He has a completion record all time in college for a reason. He has all the starts in the world in college, so he has all the experience. There are some people who say that's a plus. I just don't agree with that. And it's different from a case between him and a Jaden Daniels and a Michael Penix, because Penix has all those starts and is older because he got hurt. Jaden Daniels had the transfer and it was a different situation and this, that, and the third. Bo Nix was just bad at Auburn. I saw Bo Nix at Auburn. I was still in college when Bo Nix was at Auburn. He was just not that good of a quarterback. And now that he's gained all this experience and he found a system that worked for him, now all of a sudden he's supposed to be a first round draft pick. I just don't see it, bro. I just don't see it. But I also would not be surprised if at 12, the Broncos end up taking him merely because they don't have any draft capital to get anybody else. And then him and Zach Wilson can battle it out in training camp. And if you can't beat out Zach Wilson, then that tells us all we need to know. Thanks for the question. All right, last question. This isn't really a draft question. It's more so just a general question from a WNBA podcast I did a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. All right. We're going to ignore the part that compliments me because I'm not that arrogant. I was hoping you touch on Miss Clark and Ice Cube Big Three. Money-wise, the Big Three will pay her more, but from a growth standpoint, WNBA is a better fit. The numbers show that viewership has gone up because of her, so that would transfer over to the WNBA. Pause right there. So I did do a segment on Caitlin Clark and the Big Three offer, but I cut it for time and I didn't really like it that much after I did it, because the thing that makes Caitlin Clark's rise to fame so great is that we're no longer seeing women's basketball as a novelty in mass media, obviously not including myself here. It is working backwards to now join a novelty league like the Big Three for the sake of $5 million, which she'll very clearly be able to make off the court. Now, I'm not usually in the business of counting people's pockets, but I do have Google. And according to AP News, Caitlin Clark just signed a 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike. So yeah, making that money off the court. So I think she's fine. From a notoriety standpoint, though, I've always said with the WNBA, stop comparing the WNBA to the NBA today. The WNBA is 28 years old. Compare it to the 1976 NBA because that's where the NBA was after 28 years. And that was the cocaine era. The league had fallen into an era of cocaine abuse, poor imaging, and non-televised games. Even the 1978 and 1979 finals were on tape delay. So the WNBA is already at a much higher place than the NBA was at this very same point in their development as leagues. And you know what they didn't have in 1976, 1977? Social media, legalized gambling, or like women's rights. You feel me? Like, the WNBA is going to be fine. How they capitalize off this Caitlin Clark moment without annoying the shit out of their veteran players, because y'all can say that these vets are hating on Caitlin Clark all you want to, but their grievances are real because we're acting like it's a talent issue while the WNBA is not boomed. That has never been the case. The case has never been talent. That's not to say Caitlin Clark isn't talented, because I always have to throw that disclaimer out there because her legion of fans are fucking crazy, but they are right to look at this from a competitive aspect and say, well, shit, she still got to come through us before y'all anoint her the next superstar. That's not jealousy. That's competitive nature. Shaq, Ernie, Chuck, and them sit on inside the NBA and call these new players bums twice a week, and y'all don't say a damn word to them. Leave Diana Taurasi and them alone. And they're not even that harsh about it. Second part of the question, I propose expansion from billionaires to build more arenas, more teams, and how they did when the NBA first started. NBA started with 11 teams. Now we have up to 30. Say if MJ, Shaq, or hell, even LeBron build and have ownership of the new WA team, revenue will go up and the women can get paid just like the men. That sounds great in theory. That sounds wonderful in theory. And it also works if you think of the WNBA less of a sports league and more of a startup. And hear me out. Netflix didn't turn a profit until like 2 years ago. Uber still hasn't turned a profit yet, but they're worth some of the highest companies in the world. Amazon, same thing. So if they're investing into the league with the startup view of, yeah, we may not turn a profit right away because there's still some shit they got to work out with WNBA. They got a new TV deal coming up. The players are about to renew a new CBA, I think in 2025. So the salaries are going to go up as well. So that ups labor costs. There's a lot of business shit that's going on with the WNBA as well. So it's not just cut and dry, bringing the billionaires money. There's a lot of shit they have to figure out here. Currently, the highest evaluated WNBA team is the Seattle Storm, that is worth $151 million of evaluation. So if that's the bar for the highest worth of a team, it's not unrealistic to say that we could bring some of the rich people in and they'll be able to expand this league a lot of it. And expansion is desperately needed in the WNBA anyway, so we can start bringing some of these superstars we're used to seeing in college back from overseas and back to the league. All right, thanks for the question. Do not forget, Opening Kickoff Podcast, link in the bio for Mock Draft 3.0, 2-round draft. If you want to hear my actual draft pick thoughts, along with my man Dave Steinwano and the whole crew over there, I'll be back Monday morning, actually, and me and Dave Steinwano are going to come on here. We're going to recap the NFL draft, give you all our thoughts, and we're going to get up out of here. Cool? Thanks for listening.